Welcome, everybody. Here we go. Happy Monday. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious, hot downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. Streaming at WMNHradio.org and on the Facebook on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. It is Monday, June 28, 2021, and I am not alone. Jenny is here at the news desk.
I'm here, and I'm angry.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll get into that later.
Yes, so angry. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome on an angry Monday. By the way, just right off the top, Veronette is not here. I know she was posting on, she had posted on Facebook earlier, but she was unable to join us, so hopefully another day this week.
She's otherwise occupido at the sentence.
Yes.
Occupado.
Yes. What is that, like Spanish or Italian or
I have no clue.
French or
I think it's Spanish.
Swahili or something? I don't know.
I pick up these words. I throw them out there. See what sticks.
Yes.
You know?
Well, very good.
Like the Meshuggahs.
Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. Yikes. Oh, my. You know what some people will say when they hear that kind of talk, but we won't get into that.
All right.
Won't get into that. But welcome, everybody, on this Monday afternoon, and I hope you're staying cool where you are, or as cool as possible. It is, I believe this is the hottest day that we've had here this season. It's supposed to hit 100, right?
101 here was the forecasted high for the day.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if we've actually hit that.
And
but
that's
boy, it feels like it.
And that's here in New Hampshire. I think.
Seriously.
I think everywhere west of the Mississippi, they've already just lit it on fire or something.
Well, no, actually, I put a post up earlier, and Dirk, our friend from Texas, commented that it's only 86 degrees in Texas. We are hotter than Texas.
Well, not the first time. Not the first time. If you think about winter. I mean, you know, when they had that terrible storm system in winter that was so debilitating to the power grid there, it was actually warmer here for a few days than it was in Texas.
I just thought that it's because all the heathens are here.
The heathens?
The heathens.
What do you mean?
We have more atheists
that's true.
Here than in Texas, so hell took a hike and had to move up north.
Maybe that is true. For those who don't know, if you're in other parts of the country, you might not know this about New Hampshire. And this genuinely surprised me when I first learned this. New Hampshire is, or at least it has been, although this could have changed. I haven't looked it up in a long time, but the last I knew, New Hampshire was the least church-going state in the entire country per capita. We are
yay, science.
We are secularists here in New Hampshire. So there you go. But
I believe in science.
Science? Oh, my goodness. How dare you?
I am pro-science.
Yes.
I was running around with my notebook this weekend, like holding up my sticker that says pro-science, pro-health, and pro-vaccine.
Yes.
I was trying to subliminally send messages to those who haven't done it yet.
Right.
I don't know if it worked.
Right. We do want people to get vaccinated.
I tried. Yes. Science.
Not that science and religion have to be mutually exclusive by any means.
Not that science matters much in the legislature.
And actually, well, we'll get to that. But and actually, too, I would point out that statistically, many scientists, I think John Hopwood brought this up one day. I believe it was him. That many scientists, people who are professional scientists, it sounds funny to say it that way, but people who actually work in science are, many of them are believers. So these are not mutually exclusive things.
No, they're not. It's rather interesting how that works. You think that, but it's not true.
I'm trying to cover myself in case my dad is listening. Anyway, yes, yeah. I don't want him to be worried about my eternal soul. No, I am not. I am not myself an atheist. I'm open to anything. I just.
Yeah, you are open to anything, aren't you?
Now that's definitely for the other show. That is for Matt Connarton Unsheathed. Unsheathed.
Do we play a repeat now?
Which I would politely remind you is only is not carried here on WMNH. It is only on the dark web.
Dang.
And it is behind a paywall, and I'm legally prohibited from telling you how to find it.
all my fun.
So there you go.
I don't like you no more.
I do want to remind you, of course, that we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot. In the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street. They should be open Wednesday, right? They're going to be reopening this week, as far as we know.
Yes.
Yes. Last week, they ran out of stuff.
Literally.
They ran out of a lot of stuff because Juneteenth was so massively successful. Such a fantastic turnout, but they will be back open this Wednesday. So don't go there today. Monday and Tuesday is their weekend, but they are open Wednesday through Sunday. And I think they're going to have more events throughout the summer. They've got a lot coming up. Such a wonderful family that owns and operates it. And, great food, great service, and great people. And we're so honored and privileged to have that association. So make sure you check out the Hop Knot. They have delicious gourmet pretzels. They have craft beer. Thursday nights, they have trivia night with the great Bill Cini, who also does trivia on the morning show, I think on Wednesdays. Friday nights, Grant Lampton performs there every Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. He does a residency there. They have the Sunday brunch, and they've got, we'll have to get an update from Kenny on what the big events are that are coming up. But Juneteenth, I know I've probably said it so many times, people are sick of me saying it, but I'll say it again anyway. Thank you so much to everybody who came down and hung out on Juneteenth at the Hop Knot. It was
amazing.
Very, very wonderful.
Just amazing.
Very wonderful. Let me give the numbers, 603-250-6007. If you'd like to give us a call, 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can always interact and opine online in the Facebook live chat, and we will say hello to everybody in there in a moment. Looks like a full house today. But best thing to do, give us a call so we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones at 603-250-6007. And just a couple of quick programming notes, too, before we proceed. Tomorrow morning on the morning show, Joel the Moose Elber returns. Woo-hoo. He will be co-hosting. As far as I know, it's just for one day. Just for tomorrow.
Magical day. Magical day.
It'll be like time traveling. It'll be like going back in time. I just hope Peter doesn't ask him to do traffic. But
he'll get the Wayback Machine out.
That's right. Ooh. No, but that is very, very cool. So
it is.
Joel the Moose Elber co-hosting with Peter White, just like old times, tomorrow morning on the morning show from 7 to 9 a.m. And of course, as a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before this show, if you happen to miss it. But so really looking forward to that. Also, Friday on this program, Gracie Gatto will be here with us discussing some issues. She's back from California. She and I had a little bit of a falling out on Twitter several months ago, but hey, we're in a healing, with limited exceptions, we're in a healing mood around here lately. So I'm not a big grudge guy anyway. So. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that work?
Very healing.
I'm trying.
I feel healed.
I'm trying.
Yes. So
I'm going to work on getting that Jewish laser out for you.
Oh, the Jewish space lasers are very dangerous. They do a lot of damage. In fact, I hear a rumor that that's what happened to that building in Florida. Yes.
I just want to throw something.
But so Grace...
They're already starting to say something else brought the building down.
Oh, I know. Of course. But Gracie Gatto will be here on Friday. We have made amends. Like I said, I'm not a big grudge guy. You can attack me on Twitter for no apparent reason out of nowhere, and I'll still be friends with you. So there you go. No, but I do look forward to that. Gracie is very impressive, and she has a lot of knowledge and a lot of concern about a lot of issues. So, and we have a specific issue we are going to get to today, and in a moment we'll say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat before we do that. But before we do that, let's take this call, our first call on the show of the week. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this? Hello?
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 Hello, I can hardly hear you.
Oh, well, maybe if you yell louder, you will be able to.
Oh, that is good. We are calling you to say it is good to heal.
It is good to heal. I feel, I have to tell you, I feel healed just talking about healing.
Of course you you should. That is how they work in the mind. You must convince yourself to heal, and you are healed.
Well, is it just a matter of you convince yourself to heal and then you are healed, or do you have to convince yourself to heal and then there's like the actual healing and then you're healed?
No, it is the mind, all in the mind. The mind over matter brings your body to the point, to the apex of the universe to heal.
Oh my God, he's channeling the Hardy Brothers.
Oh, well.
It's the universe.
Well, maybe. I don't know. That would be delightful, but I don't think that's what's happening here necessarily.
Delete.
I would take a swim in the Lake of Reincarnation if I could. Believe me.
It's the good karma. Always search for the good karma.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you.
Well, very good, very good. And it's okay to tell the people to heal.
Thank you. Let's all heal. Thank you very much.
It's a wonderful life after all.
Well, that's very nice, and I dare say very healing. Let's see. We'll say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. Mike Pelopita joins us in the chat room, says, good afternoon, Matt. Hi, Jenny. Mike, of course, from another one of our amazing sponsors here at WMNH 95.3, Queen City Cabinetry in the historic Sunbeam Mall. And as I always say, thank goodness for General Sunbeam for winning the war for us. Wayne Noel is a top fan all the way from Michigan. I had a very nice conversation with Wayne this morning. Enjoyed it. Wayne says, afternoon, Matt, Jenny, and everyone. Mike Pelopita says, Jenny, no looking at dirty websites. We can see your computer screen. That's true. If I put it on the wide shot for those of you watching online, and we'll have to describe for those of you listening in your cars during your commute, because, of course, radio is theater of the mind. But what are you looking for? Those are scandalous images I can see.
I'm not saying that.
How dare you?
Oh, but
you're going to have your own. Never mind EZG and his scandals. You're going to have your own scandal. You keep looking at that stuff. You're being corrupted. You know, this is what happens when we talk about New Hampshire being the least church-going state in the country. Next thing you know, Jenny is sinning while looking at her computer screen.
If you think about it, you're sinning.
Right. Yeah,
Remember,
that's true.
If you've already thought about it, you've done it. Doesn't matter.
That's right.
Done it.
That is true. Yes. Dan Lavasser is a top fan in the Facebook live chat. Dan says, someone explain to me what's up with Crazy Joe and Matt. Well, Dan, it's so much to get into, so much to explain, but there is a series of videos online that I would direct you to. There are several on the IPM Nation YouTube channel, as well as Dirk Dawn on the Arrogant Media YouTube channel. You can find a two-part mini documentary about the travails of Crazy Joe. So I think the Crazy Joe saga may have come to a close because it has been days now where he has not posted any new videos. So I think Facebook might have shut him down again. The page is still up, and
he's in jail again.
All the videos are still there, but I think he might be. I think he might be in Facebook jail again.
And his last term was 30 days, so he's got at least that or more.
It is amazing,
and
though.
you still owe me chocolate ice cream. Cookies and cream is nice, but I still need my chocolate.
Oh, that's right. The
Nothing
ice cream
replaces chocolate.
You were right about that.
Yes, I have chocolate coming to me. Yes.
Yes.
With brownies.
Yes. Texas Mike is in the chat room. Mikey says, glad I'm in my room right now with AC blasting. I was sweating my off at work today.
Yes, I saw that.
Not really. I can't really. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a gray zone word. I'm sure I could get away with saying it, but I'm not going to.
Mikey's being risque.
He is. It's very unusual. Very unusual for Texas Mike to use that kind of language.
It's hot in here.
Although, if you go on YouTube and you look up any of his matches back when in the late 1970s when he was an AWA tag team champion with Blackjack Mulligan, he did use some pretty racy language back then too. But keep those attached, Mikey. Don't let them sweat off. That would be.
He shouldn't be playing. Well, no, we're not going
to. Dirk is asking if they're the same ones. And then the comments all scrolled up on me.
Not my fault.
We'll come back to that. Wayne says, thanks for sharing that with us. Dan Lavasser says he was on vacation playing catch up. Ooh, you missed a lot, Dan. You missed a lot. Wow.
But he wrote, when I first read that, I thought he wrote ketchup.
Oh,
As in the condiment.
No,
And I went, oh, how clever. Ha, ha, ha.
No.
Yeah,
But
my brain did that.
Yes. But boy, what a week. What an exhausting week last week. Abigail Jem says, hi, folks, listening poolside. Very good. Let's see. There's some comments about Mikey and about anatomy that I won't read, but they are very funny. I just won't put them out on the air.
You guys are going to break Mikey.
Well, John Hopwood is in the chat room. John is a top fan, of course, and says, tell him to blow it out is
Hey, now.
Everybody's very salty with the language today, which in the Facebook chat is perfectly fine. I just can't necessarily say all of these things out on Afternoon Drive FM radio. There might be there might be children listening, so we can't although who would let their kids listen to this show? I don't know.
Well, you never people are driving home, they have their kids in the car.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, Matt, do we have to explain everything?
That's yes. Charles Richardson.
So needy.
Charles from the Charles Richardson show is in the chat room and says, well, hello and good afternoon. You and I were on last Wednesday's Charles Richardson show. Charles is live every Wednesday and Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course on Raw Talk Online and on IPM Nation as well. But we had a great time last Wednesday, and Charles, we'll need to communicate. And I don't know what's happening, if I'm still going on this Wednesday or if you're doing something else with that time. If that's let me know what you're thinking. But we like Charles very much. Charles is a stand-up guy.
Is that who wanted us to talk to them about content creation and?
That's Dirk.
Okay.
We gotta get with.
There's a cup.
I gotta get with Dirk too, because Dirk wanted to also have a discussion with us. But yes, we've made some really nice. We've made some nice new friends, and we've strengthened our existing friendships with some wonderful people over the last week.
All that glitters is gold.
Mikey's asking if he just created a scandal for himself. No, the scandals are all...
Yes, you did, Mikey.
Those are all easy, G.
No. Mikey's got scandals, too. He's rather scandalous.
Shannon McGuire joins us in the chat. Hello, Shannon. Let's see. Just want to make sure we don't miss anybody in here. Lots of folks in here today, which is wonderful to see. EZG Eric Gagnon joins us. Hi, Eric. Let me know if you're going to be coming in Thursday for your entertainment report. Miriam Banish is a top fan in the chat and says, good afternoon. Hello, Miriam. Shannon says, down in my finished basement doing laundry and listening to the show. Nice and cool down here. That is excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you're stuck under fans, if you take a bowl of ice and stick it in front of the fan, it will help cool it.
By the way,
a little
yes.
Poor person's trip there that works for me.
By the way, Eric points out Vermont also not very church going.
Oh, that
doesn't surprise me. Vermont's very liberal.
Which is why they have an independent congressman.
Instead, but except the one thing they're not liberal on is guns. Of course, I believe they have open carry.
They are
constitutional carry.
They are the only state that's always been constitutional carry. They never put a prohibition in place.
So when we talk about guns and God, they have the guns, just not the God. But they do have.
That's what the problem is with you all.
Mm-hmm. But
y'all don't have the Lord in your heart.
But they do have maple syrup.
Going to be struck down. I know, right? Maple candy.
Ah, yes. Scott Robinson is in the chat. Scott says, let's not get too racy, Jenny.
Too late.
Dirk Don.
I'm mad.
Dirk Don from Arrogant Media. Make sure you check out Arrogant Media. He says, letting my family know I joined the Church of Satan was pretty hard to push myself to do. Had to at some point. I also don't know what I would be like, or what it would be like to be a believer while researching new findings in evolution. Ah, yes. Well, those don't have to be mutually exclusive concepts. You could say evolution. I certainly believe in evolution, of course, but you could say that God guided evolution. I don't know. You can think whatever you want to. At the end of the day, what's it really matter?
No, you don't. I'm not propping that crap up.
Well, you know what? We used to hear.
I'm not propping that crap up.
You know what?
I fell into that pool once. I got out. I'm not going back.
You know what we used to hear? And it went away?
What?
It went away probably 10, 15 years ago, but it was a big thing for a while. Intelligent design Remember that concept? And it was kind of a compromise with evolution and religion, that, intelligent design, the idea that evolution is real, but it's, God is the prime mover and he's the one who guides the process of evolution. So everyone, It's like Unitarian.
Because it's a lot easier to believe that an invisible man threw a meteor at the planet, killing all the dinosaurs. Or maybe it just kind of happened on its own, and meteors have actually struck the Earth a number of times.
God threw the meteor? That's, wow.
Well, yeah, it's one way of putting it.
Must have been Old Testament God. He was the one with the temper.
Well, yeah, because, see, the dinosaurs were alive at the same time as mankind, even though
yes.
all the scientific evidence in the world and all the archaeological information in the world does not agree with you. That's what they say.
But aren't there cartoons where there's dinosaurs and people together? So that proves it.
Well, that's right.
See?
That's right.
Yeah. John Hopwood says, it's only 1 in 10 scientists who believe in God, and only about 1 in 5 who go to a religious service, which likely means giving away a child at a wedding they had to pay for.
That might phase out. Keep going the way we are. People will be more independent.
That's right.
That'll do us some good.
Charles Robinson says, I did it again. Why do I do that? Charles Richardson says, healing is good for lots of people with weak butts, LOL. I think I know what that's a reference to, Charles. Yes. Let's see. Don T. Tibbetts is in the chat room and says, Yahoo to y'all. Hello, T. Wonderful to see you in there. Rhonda Favero joins us. Rhonda says, hi, guys. California in the house. Thank you for representing the West Coast. Rhonda,
are we harder than California now?
We might be.
Jeez.
We might be. Gilletta Jarvis is in the chat room. She says, you go, girl. Very nice. Gilletta, a former candidate for governor, a libertarian candidate for governor. She's been on the show a couple times. Let's see. Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody in here. There's so many people in here today. It's great to see. Great to see. All right. I think we're caught up with the Facebook live chat. Let me give the numbers again, and then Jenny has been chomping at the bit to discuss something that is not being discussed that much in the media, which is surprising. But 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. Tweet us at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And, of course, you can join us and interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do is give us a call at 603-250-6007. And what did you want to talk about there, Jenny? You've got the...
Okay, seriously, folks.
Actually, before you do this, I just want to let everyone know. So this has something to do with New Hampshire, but for everyone watching online who are not from New Hampshire,
Absolutely.
It's actually a broader issue, and what is happening right now in New Hampshire has been happening, or they've tried to make happen, or they're going to try to make happen in states all over the country. So this discussion is about what is happening right now in New Hampshire, but it's relevant everywhere, no matter where you are in the United States. And when we get into it, you'll understand why. But sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure people
and you're
realize
right.
that.
There's a lot around this issue that we need to talk about. Just a quick side note to start us off. Well, no, I'm going to leave that for later. So last Friday evening, I thought I heard something in the news, and I wasn't sure that I heard it correctly, and I thought, God, that can't be happening here. Really? I heard that our Governor Sununu, signed the budget bill into law that contains what's called or what's referred to as the Fetal Life Protection Act. So this is mind-boggling to me, because the state of New Hampshire has always made sure that issues that are this divisive and this important are brought to light, have hearings, people are allowed to speak. This is something that was put into the budget. They took women and decided that I guess we're going to go towards the Handmaid's Tale and take away your right to be a cis woman. If you are a cis woman, you have no rights to your body anymore. The state of New Hampshire has decided that you can legally be raped. I'm going to say that again. The state of New Hampshire and our governor signed into law, a woman a cis woman being raped. And they did this under the audacious of abortion law. So this fetal protection law that's been put in, the law literally says, and I'm gonna try and be really clear on everything I say. And if you think I'm wrong on any of this, please feel free to call in. I'd love to hear it. The only legislator I've gotten to hear from is Heidi Hamer, one of our state representatives here in Manchester, that I reached out to because I needed some help getting what is the actual language? What got put into law?
The Honorable Heidi Hamer.
The Honorable Heidi Hamer. Well, I did say Representative Heidi Hamer.
Yes. I just like to throw in the Honorable because we like Heidi very much.
We love Heidi.
And she's a listener of the show.
An honest and good person.
Yes.
So one of the first laws up in this that comes up right away is the healthcare provider shall conduct an obstetric ultrasound examination of the patient for the purpose of making the determination. The determinations being the age and gestation of the embryo. They refer to it as a fetus. Off and on in this, they use the words almost interchangeably when we know scientifically that's not even close to being correct. But in the law, when something is a shall, that means it has to happen. If it's a may, that means his choice. This says a provider shall. A provider they have no control over this. The government has said, put into law, that you will have a transvaginal ultrasound because that is the only way to get the information they're looking for in this law. You can't put a little thingy on your belly and get it. That's not how this works. And a transvaginal ultrasound is traumatic. It's not easy. A woman is handed you're going to listen to me, people, because this law is in your name. You better listen and you better care because this goes into effect. It's already been signed. It goes into effect January 1st. You got a little bit of time to maybe undo this before it hurts somebody. And we need to. We need to. The way this is written, a 19-year-old girl who is a victim of rape and wants to abort now has to be raped again in an exam room. They hand you a probe that looks like a liter bottle of soda. It's a large object. You are told to insert it.
It's that big, really?
It's a large probe.
Wow.
It's not small.
I've never.
It's kind of a large probe. It's not a little tiny pencil thing.
I've never seen it. I didn't realize it was that large.
It's rather large. I mean, maybe like a paper towel holder. It's rather large thing, and they put a very large condom-like implement over it to protect you from infection.
Okay.
I have had to have this done. I had rupturing ovarian cysts. I had polycystic ovaries. I was rupturing cysts. The only way to see how much fluid was, or if there was blood, the only way to see what was in there was to do this, to look at it. And the woman is handed this, and she's told to insert it. And then the technician will take a hold of it, insert it more, and start the examination where you will feel this thing moving around inside of you, putting pressure and shifting to get these measurements. I don't understand for the life of me how this is now law in New Hampshire. I am losing my mind over the fact that it was signed into law by the governor on Friday. It goes into effect on January 1st.
Well, let me just interject something about the, not knowing how this happened in New Hampshire. This has been so pro-lifers have they have a playbook. They have certain things that they try to do. And I'm sure you saw a lot of this many times when you were a state legislator and this is why I say this applies to every state. This is something that's happening right here in New Hampshire, but this exact thing either has happened or will happen in many, many states. Not necessarily every state. So a state like Massachusetts, which is very liberal, probably nothing like this is ever going to show up on the radar. But in many states, well, it is particularly in red states. And what they do is, so pro-lifers try to get specific things done that where they can say, well, no, we're not necessarily restricting access to abortion, but we're just doing certain things that we think are responsible. But it's, it's a Trojan horse.
So,
Let me just give just a few quick examples. This is one example, the transvaginal ultrasound. Also, the fetal heartbeat bill, which they've tried to do in New Hampshire. They try to do it in every state where, as soon as a heartbeat can allegedly be detected, okay, that's a person. And so if you abort, then that's murder. That's what they're really trying to do there. The fetal heartbeat bill, the fetal homicide bill, where if someone is pregnant and they're in a car accident, and I'm just saying these are all part of the
particular one. I gotta say I have an issue with because I do think that the person should be responsible.
Sure. I might as well. I'm just saying though, these are examples of things that they do in every single state. There's another big one. What is it?
So this one here is what they did here in New Hampshire is they use money. They get into this by the budget using money. That public money can't be used to fund an abortion.
Yeah.
That's where the insert of this law starts. The very beginning of this is about state funding to Health and Human Services. That's how they got this into the budget.
Right.
That's their proverbial camel's nose under the tent.
Oh, I just thought of another one they try to do in every state, and I know they've tried to do it here where, or maybe they did successfully do it here.
I haven't even gone through all of them yet.
Where anyone who, any doctors who are involved in performing abortions have to have admitting privileges at a hospital within a certain distance of where the clinic is, where this is being done. That's another one they try to do. They try to replicate, and it's how all kinds of legislation works on all kinds of issues, but they try to replicate whatever works or they think they have a shot at doing in different states throughout the country.
Right, and then they go one step further, of course, here in New Hampshire, and they've done this in other states, is the providers are now at risk for not only losing their licenses, but ending up in jail and being fined. Because any healthcare provider who doesn't follow these guidelines, who doesn't do a transvaginal ultrasound on a rape victim, and does the abortion, is now potentially guilty of a Class B felony, and they can receive fines of anywhere between not less than $10,000, but no more than $100,000. So if the health care provider does an abortion on somebody who's, say, 24 weeks in one day, or exactly 24 weeks, that's a Class B felony as of January 1st in New Hampshire. The only exception given is the endangerment to the mother's life. They don't give exceptions for other things, like, the baby's got a deadly disease, for example.
Yeah.
And they're going to die 2 weeks out of the womb.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be forced to carry that baby full term. You will not be allowed to abort.
We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, it's Charles.
Hey, Charles.
Jenny, I got to ask you because I'm a little bit not clear on what the difference is. So obviously one goes up, the other one just kind of scans the belly. What difference are they looking for? What would be the transvaginal thing? What would it possibly give you besides? What's the benefit of doing it besides the very regular ultrasound?
That's a really good question. And remember, I was a provider years ago. Life has changed. But this is a pretty easy one to give you, and that is women have a lot of body parts. You got your bladder, and that gets in the way. For part of the exam, you're going to be told to have a full bladder of fluid and have to hold it, and then they'll have you release it. But the transvaginal ultrasound allows for them to get exact measurements on your ovaries. If there's a cyst on the ovary, if they can look and see if the baby's implanted in the uterus or potentially this is an ectopic pregnancy. The only way to get that information is transvaginally because of all the organs and tissue in between. You can't see the ovaries through all of that intestine and so forth. You can't look inside the uterus without going into the woman. There's no way to look in there and see if there's a baby or a cell or something attached to the wall. Like a fetus implanted to the wall.
And you mean to tell me that we don't have enough science to make this thing any smaller? I'm taking a look there because I have a paper towel roll.
It's
right
a decent
now.
size object. It is a decent. It's not that it's
my exact work.
It's a decent size object, and again, you're taking technology and placing it on the interior section so you can get a full look at the size of the organs inside of the person. Our technology, unfortunately, has not gotten to a point where we can just put something on a woman's belly and look straight away and be able to see if there's fluid in there. Is it clear fluid or blood fluid? Is there cysts? Is there something of unknown origin, like maybe a tumor of some side that they're trying to measure? Unfortunately, going through the belly with all of you got your tummy, and you've got intestines, and you got your bladder, and you got all these other organs in the way that are not going to give you a clear view to see something. And that's going to be the difference between life and death with a woman. I mean, if you can't see that a pregnancy is a topic, a woman can literally die.
Right.
And that's unfortunately the only way.
I get the anger of the bill where it's forced upon. If you, though, had a seat and you could make any changes, is there anything that you could do to protect the woman and also make sure she's comfortable as well? Is there anything that you could say that, or anything that you would do differently than what the law states?
Yeah, I'd give women back the right to be a human being, because the law is used against us consistently. Consistently. Think about it. We're all hearing about Britney Spears right now. The woman is being forced to carry an IUD. She's got an IUD inside her. Every conservative I ever knew would talk about how they'll never take the chip. It's the mark of the beast. We have an IUD in this woman, and government is being used to keep it in there. The court systems are being used that's mind-boggling. Oh my God, this thing is inside this woman, and she doesn't have a right to get it out because government took it away. Well, here's another example. Government needs to get the heck out of medicine.
Yeah.
They stink at it. And we have to stop trying to find some happy little middle. And we have to understand that religious people are going to be religious people, but science is science. And that's what we need to be following, is science. Medical science, not thousands of year old writing that didn't know what an ultrasound was when it was written. It's just, the only way, honestly, the only way is to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Stop telling cis women they don't have a right over their own bodies. This is, and I haven't even gotten to all the laws yet that they passed in this bill. Believe it or not, there's more.
Well, I won't take any more of your time up. I just kind of want to get my point out and ask those questions. I appreciate it,
Absolutely.
guys.
Those
Take
are
care.
good questions.
Thank you so much for the call, Charles. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Those are really, really good questions. Really good questions.
The great Charles Richardson from the Charles Richardson Show.
And these things, I mean, I make it, don't take me the wrong way. I mean, the medical instruments are made in a way that is as comfortable as possible for the woman.
Yeah.
But no matter how you slice it, you're still taking a tool and inserting it into this woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it, period. And as far as that's sexual assault, that's rape. That is rape. What are you going to do? Tie her down and drug her so you can do that to her?
We have another call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, it's John Hopwood.
John Hopwood, how are you?
Well, after I'm fine, but I agree with Jenny about the outrage about the bill. But this bill has nothing to do about financing abortion. Although I realize you were talking about
Actually, it does.
Stuff
No,
about
it actually.
Planned Parenthood.
Hoppy,
This
it does.
ban.
Honey, Hoppy, listen for a second, honey. The beginning of this is all about the state funding. It's taking the state funding.
This is a ban. This is a ban on abortion at 24 weeks. And the reason they have the ultrasound is they're going to determine the gestational
Yes.
age of that it's 24 versus 23.
Oh, I
guess
see.
Right.
It's even more worse than you're even talking
Well,
about.
it's worse than that in the sense that the first part of the bill, the section I didn't get into yet, is that it literally states that no state fundings shall be used.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I
There's
haven't been
another
able to read the
section.
bill.
I haven't even touched the another section on it yet. Yep, they went after the money, Hoppy. They went after the money. They certainly did.
I think, now that I think of it, of course, because they're going to stop poor or women on Medicaid from getting it. But the whole
That's who
idea
gets
about
hurt.
that invasion of the person, what if they decide, somebody, it's 25 weeks, and now you can't have an abortion. I mean,
They wrote this to
turn it
literally
back over
start
to
at
you,
the first day of the 24th week is when this bill affects and says no abortion is allowed unless the mother might die. or she might lose
Right.
her organs. Her organs might fail. If she's facing organ failure or death, then they can do it after that period of time. But if they find out that the unfortunately the baby hasn't formed correctly, it's got half a skull and half a brain, and it's not going to live, you're going to be forced to carry it to full term, give birth, watch it suffer till it dies.
I would just like to say something, and I don't want to insult you or Matt, but I would never have voted for Sununu in 1,000 years. The whole thing where, he's pro-choice and a moderate, I never believed that in my life.
I will say this,
so those
John.
Democrats.
I will say this, John.
told
If this had been a standalone bill, Sununu never would have signed it.
Exactly.
Exactly. No, you can't.
This gave how many people coverage to get to vote for this?
He has signed it.
You think?
He signed it. He has signed it. You can't say that because he could have fought it. Of
Well,
course
he could have not signed it, and then after the date's certain, it becomes law. Because in New Hampshire, the governor has three choices. He can let it become law without his signature.
More of a fight.
But he
He's
can.
the governor of New Hampshire. He's head of the Republican Party. He could have exerted some.
He doesn't want to upset his
about
base.
this.
He's looking at bigger pie now. I hear he's looking to go federal.
Don't give him a pass on that.
I'm not.
Me, he's a piece of something I can't say.
I was merely.
He reminds me of a certain a crazy so and so.
I was merely.
Send it as that.
I was merely stating what I think is a fact. That's all. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying, if it had been a standalone bill, he wouldn't have signed it. That's all I'm saying.
He already signaled he would sign it if it was part of the bill. First he said he wouldn't, then he did. Come on. And now they know we'll use the budget to put it through. He doesn't. This guy, he's nothing.
Well,
he's a zero. But that's a whole nother thing. Hey, if you're a veteran like I am, and all the veterans that died up in Tilton, and he won't reveal the information,
yeah.
Don't give this guy a pass.
Yeah.
I never trusted him. But I'll hand the baton back to you. But go get him, Jenny.
All right, John. Thank you so much.
Care.
Thank you for the
Didn't
call.
have to.
Bye-bye. All right, the great John Hopwood, host of Ward 13 with John Hopwood.
So you know what? I'll back this up. I'm gonna just to follow up with what he's saying. So in the first section of the bill, it specifically says no state funds shall be awarded to the Department of Health and Human Services to a reproductive health care facility, except the funding's available for the state pursuing a Social Security Act, yada, yada, yada. And then they get down in here and they say that no state funds shall be used to subsidize abortions either directly or indirectly, that the Family Planning Project will permit the Commissioner of the Department of Health and Human Services or their designee to inspect the financial records of the Family Planning Project to monitor compliance with this section. So now, if $1 gets used towards an abortion, no matter the circumstances, that falls out of compliance with this new law, they can literally shut them completely down. Mm-hmm. But to go even further, they went for the whole pie in this little baby. They hid this sucker into the budget so they could get everything.
That's a good pun.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Mm. So it also says the father of the fetus, if he's married to the mother at the time she receives an abortion that violated this law, and or if the mother has not yet reached the age of 18, we're now going back to kiddos. At the time of abortion, you think we're going to do something to protect the kiddos right now, don't you? Don't you think what I just read, you're going to protect the kiddos? No! The maternal grandparents of the fetus may, in a civil action, obtain appropriate relief unless the pregnancy resulted from the plaintiff's criminal conduct. So basically, grandpappies can now sue to get money, and they shall include monetary damages for all psychological and physical injuries caused by the abortion. So if Grandma and Grampy's feelings got hurt, they get to sue. And if the kid's under 18, they get to sue. And you know who they're going to sue? Mom and Dad. Yeah, Mom and Dad are going to be paying Grammy and Grampy of the boy that impregnated their daughter because she got an abortion.
That gets pretty out there.
How do you like that one, right? How do you like that one? And when you look at the bill, because in the bill it has definitions of what different words are going to mean and what and for the purpose of this law, how things are understood. They cut and slice Roe v. Wade to fit their narrative. They cut and slice Planned Parenthood cases to fit their narrative. They take out of the Roe court, when the Roe court rejected the view that a woman's right is absolute and that she is entitled to terminate her pregnancy at whatever time, in whatever way, for whatever reason she alone chooses. It's a quote out of Roe v. Wade's decision. So they're taking these little piecemeal things and putting it in here to try and make it more. And they put this in there. And I found this interesting because, give me a break. Respect for the dignity of human life is a legitimate state purpose. The United States Supreme Court has said that, quote, respect for human life finds an ultimate expression in the bond of love the mother has for her child. While we find no reliable data to measure the phenomenon, it seems unexceptional to conclude that some women come to regret their choice to abort the infant life that they once created and sustained. End quote. In New Hampshire law. Let me tell you, there was no maternal bonding or nothing for my egg donor. And I know a lot of people just like me. This is fairy tale garbage that has no science whatsoever. They even tell you there's no science in it. They tell you there's no data to support it, but they're going to put that in there anyway.
Yeah.
You know, how dare you? And the only exceptions for this is what they declare as a medical emergency, so a significant health risk to mom. You know, that mom's going to lose major bodily function. If the fetus isn't going to live, medical science has not figured out how to fix what it ails, and the mother would have in the past been given an opportunity to abort rather than carry to full term. Some women call that being a walking coffin. And I did hear a story from a woman that did run into a situation like that.
Let's be very clear about this because this is important. So you're talking about a scenario where, and it certainly does happen, where
yes.
The fetus isn't going to make it. They're able to determine the fetus isn't going to make it. So the logical
Brain's
thing to do,
not fully developed, whatever.
So the logical thing to do would be the abortion, and what reasonable person could argue that that's clearly, you know, even the most pro-life should be able to acknowledge that if the fetus is not going to make it, of course, it would be a logical medical procedure to remove the fetus. But
God's will, baby. God's will.
But in this scenario, under these conditions legally, the woman would have to continue to, you say, walking coffin, because I mean, it's so grotesque to even think about. But
you're carrying around someone that's going to die.
It's the reality of it, yeah.
And you're risking, the woman's in enough trauma. You're making it worse because God might miraculously fix it when it comes out. That's not how science works. That's just not it. And this is horrible. And this law that's been passed, I didn't see nothing on WMUR. Nothing. I looked on there before we came in. I even went back, watched 12 o'clock news, like, there's nothing. Because he did this at like dinner time Friday night.
Sure.
So nobody'd hear about it, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't do it in the light of day. And he should be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
He should be ashamed for signing this. This has no business in the budget. This has no business. This should have been a standalone bill to have public hearings. And the only reason the Republicans in New Hampshire did this, because they knew it was the only way to get it. They knew if people had to vote, if people had to actually put their name on a vote, they weren't going to vote for this. So they stuck it in the budget to give you cover. That's what we got elected. And that's what's going on around this country. Not just in women's rights, but in a lot of ways. But this, like I said in the beginning, with Britney Spears, what we've seen, the horrible situation, she's literally a slave. She's literally being tortured. I consider it torture to have a device inside of you that you don't want.
You know, by the way, just a little bit of a sidebar, but about Britney, I heard Howard. I was listening to Howard Stern this morning, and he was commenting on the Britney Spears situation, and he was just kind of lamenting that, you know, how is it that there's so many famous men he used Charlie Sheen as just one example, and he mentioned some other people. Famous dudes who go crazy and engage in all kind of reckless behavior and whatnot. And, nothing happens to them. There's no consequence. But Britney Spears kind of loses her grip seemingly for a minute. And next thing you know, she's subject to this conservatorship.
For 13 years.
Yeah. And has her, and now her life is entirely controlled by somebody else, and she can't find a way out of it. And it's just, why did this happen to her? If
How humiliated do you have to make somebody?
Yeah.
Like this is she had to literally put out everything in her life from the most horrific thing ever for the world to see to try and get control of her own life back because she's a woman.
Yeah.
And you're right. And you know who signed this bill? You know who pushed this bill? A bunch of white men in New Hampshire.
Of course.
And that's who's you go around the country and look at these bill signings. I'm telling you, it's creepy. That's 9 out of 10, bunch of white men standing around another white man signing it into law to tell a cis woman what she can and can't do with her body.
Bunch of old white men. Yep. Oh yeah. Absolutely. That's what it always is.
But this goes deeper to me, Maddie. This is how all our laws are based. Remember, all of our law was based on a bunch of group of people that believed only a white man could own property. Women could never own property. They could never have a bank account. Women weren't permitted to buy houses. Women weren't permitted to buy cars. Black people weren't allowed. That's where these laws come from. They're based in that society. Mm-hmm. And instead of undoing the draconian actions that were done by our predecessors, we're passing more garbage to take more rights. Why am I not a human being? Why am I less of a human being? And I seem to have that happen to me a lot lately. Why am I not an equal human being to the man that signed this bill into law? Mm-hmm. Why do I have less control over my body than he does?
Yeah.
Tell me that, Governor. Why do I have less control? Tell me, Governor, why you signed a bill that says I have to agree to be raped with an instrument if I want to have an abortion after being raped.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me to my face. Because that's what I want to hear. That's what every woman in this state and around this country wants to know is, are the men in our lives going to stand up for us? Are you going to stand by us and fight for our rights? Or are you going to allow them to get continuously eaten away and women have no control over anything? Not our bodies, not our minds, nothing. This is not okay. And it should be an outrage.
Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour, so we're going to take a break. Going to play a little something, and then we're going to show some love to our sponsors to pay the bills around here, and then we'll come back. When we come back, we'll continue, and we'll take your calls, and a lot of great, very interesting comments in the Facebook live chat, so I want to get to those as well in the second hour, but plenty more Unleashed to come here. We are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. We are into hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious, hot downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. Streaming at WMNHradio.org. And, of course, on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And I would invite you to visit my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options and social media links and contact info and show archives, etc. And hello to our friends at Raw Talk Online. It is Monday, June 28th, 2021. And Jenny is here as well.
I am.
And I do want to remind you all that we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street. Don't go there today because Monday and Tuesday is their weekend, but they will be open Wednesday. They're open Wednesday through Sunday. They have delicious gourmet pretzels. They have craft beer. They have wine. Thursday nights, they have trivia night with Bill Cini. Fridays, our friend Grant Lampton plays there every Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Sundays, they have brunch. They've got a lot of great stuff going on. Great food, great service, and a wonderful family that owns and operates it. And Juneteenth was incredible. They ran out of stuff, so they had to close for a little bit to restock. Which apparently, by the way, this is a problem in a lot of places nationally. The hiccups in the supply chain, restaurants and bars running out of things. It's a bit of a problem at the moment. I'm sure over time it'll, I think probably the bulk of that, or maybe all of it, caused by the pandemic. So that'll straighten out over time, I'm sure. But yes, the wonderful Hop Knot. By the way, too, we mentioned earlier programming notes. I forgot to mention Grant Lampton, a.k.a. Mike Sudderth, on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. during the second hour of this program comes in for his Tweakonomics segment. So I'm not sure what Mike has planned for this week's Tweakonomics, but we look forward to that. At one point he was calling it Freakonomics, but that is trademarked. So so we look forward to that. Also tomorrow morning on the morning show with Peter White, Joel Elber, the Moose, will be in the house to co-host the morning show with Peter White. So it'll be just like old times, Peter and the Moose together again. So that will be a lot of fun. And of course, there's a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before this show if you miss it. But that's going to be really cool. So one of the great radio teams.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you'd like to join us, give us a call. 603-250-6007 is the number. 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can opine and interact in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do is give us a call at 603-250-6007. And I do want to catch up with these Facebook live chat comments regarding what we were discussing in the first hour regarding these the transvaginal ultrasounds, this provision and others regarding abortion that have been included in the budget, which our allegedly pro-choice governor did sign into law. Anna B. Albray says, can you imagine going through a transvaginal ultrasound if you had physical damage or trauma to the area?
Yes.
I had one when I had cysts. It was awkward and uncomfortable. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. I know, right? It's disgusting to think. And a lot of the people that vote for this, they have no idea how it's done.
Right.
They believe the garbage they see on TV.
Yeah.
And 90% of the medical stuff you see on TV is garbage. You didn't notice anyway.
John Hopwood dropped a link in the chat room. Boy, I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm really glad to be in the Northeast. This is unrelated, but related in a certain sense, from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. We're not going to go through the article, but this is from a couple months ago. House advances bill to let schools teach creationism. That's another one that comes up every year in certain states. They want to teach creationism right alongside evolution, which even if you believe in creation.
Who's creation, though?
Well, not only that, but even if you believe in creationism, it still doesn't make any sense because evolution is science. Creationism would fall under theology. So why would you teach theology in a public school? Even if you genuinely believe that the two should be equal, you wouldn't teach a theological subject in a science class, just like you would not teach a science subject in a theology class. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, there you go, using common sense again, Maddie.
I know.
You got to stop doing that when it comes to these things.
Dan Lavasser.
But wait a minute. I want to know whose creation they get to teach, though. Which version?
Well,
is it the Catholic version? Is it the Jewish version?
I think we know.
Is it the Mayan version? Is it the Egyptian version? Really? You know, when I was a senior in high school, I had a really great teacher, and it was actually her last thing teaching. She was actually going to go become an airline student, and we did a mythology class for 6 months, and the Bible was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've told that story to a few people, and they're like, really?
Yeah.
They put the Bible in mythology?
That really surprises me, and I would imagine some people were very, very angry.
Really interesting when you compare all the creation stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Lavasser points out they are not pro-lifers. They are pro-birthers. They could care less after the fetus comes out. Yeah.
I did find a quote from the dear old governor. He said, quote, I might not love all the details of that provision, but again, a bigger picture. There's a lot of really positive things for the citizens of New Hampshire with that budget. End quote. Geez, it sounds just like there's mighty fine people on both sides. Governor.
Having it both ways.
Huh, Governor?
Wayne Noel.
I'm so angry at this man right now. I'm infuriated.
Wayne Noel says probably because the legislature included it in the budget bill instead of coming up with standalone bills for each. A standalone bill probably would not have been signed by the governor. Well, yeah, that's the point I was
Every
making.
year there's been a standalone bill on this. It's failed.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this was the only way they could get it passed.
Right, exactly. Which is how a lot of things get passed.
Okay, but it hasn't been the tradition of our state, though. Our state legislature has always taken the position that there would be non-germane amendments, never show up in the House, and the House is always going to push to be on topic, and the Senate does non-germane, but they're the culprits. They're the ones that'll do a non-germane amendment, and then people fight over it. But to do something like this and hide it in the budget, you sneaky, slimy little politician crap. Jeez, you guys are nasty. You know what's funny? That one of the senator who debated this on the floor, Bob Guida, old white man. Sorry, I'm going to call it like it is in the state of New Hampshire. When you watch who's standing there when they sign the bill, that's who's standing there when they sign the bill. I'm sorry if that's offensive to anybody, but that's what it is here in New Hampshire.
Dirk made a comment about that, which when we get to it, we will address. But yeah.
Well, you and I have talked about that one too.
Yeah,
we've talked about that. But Bob Guider got on the floor and he said that the 24-week cutoff for abortion procedures was a compromise.
Oh.
Because that's how we do good medicine. At the quote, at what point do we decide it's okay to kill a sentient, feeling, living human being? Is it 24 weeks? Is it 28 weeks? Is it when a child is crawling in the delivery room? Is it an attempt to use science to allow the definition by law of when life begins? Yes, I do actually want to use science, Senator, to denote when life begins. But seriously.
By the way, did you know Bob Guida is the first? It was a long time ago. I doubt he remembers. But he was the first politician I ever sat down and formally interviewed.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's probably online on the IPM Nation website somewhere. Actually, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Yep. He was the first. This would have been well over a decade ago. But yeah, he was the first one I ever interviewed.
Now, one of the other representatives, Jess Edwards, said that the ultrasound I can't speak, Maddie. I'm so twisted about this. The ultrasound provision in the law is intended to, quote, require the visual information to be available to the woman that want to have a better informed decision on their abortion, right? End quote. Because when you're 6 weeks pregnant, there's a little tiny, little teeny dot of something in there that we need to shove a probe up you, force it on you so you can look at that. Really? Give me a break. What a load of garbage. You got a bridge to sell me there, Rep? Garbage.
Melanie La Liberté in the chat from the great state of Vermont says, good afternoon. Anna Albright says, 5-week pregnancy is size of a sesame seed. WTF am I supposed to be looking at to change my mind? Yeah. Christian Lacoste, DJ Reckless joins us in the chat room. Hello, Christian. Let's see.
Or it might look like a tadpole. There is a point in gestation where it looks like a tadpole.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Melanie,
I swear they think they're going to see a full baby in there.
Melanie points out the transvaginal ultrasound, not super fun for a sexual assault victim. Yeah. Shannon says, do they use this transvaginal tool on just pregnant rape victims? I think she was
being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Law says it's going to get used on every woman in the state who wants to seek an abortion as of January 1st of 2022. That's the law.
Yeah.
That's what he signed.
Rhonda Favero says, thank you, Jenny. Government out of medicine. Absolutely. Miriam, who is a top fan, says this is really sick. Anna asks, who is paying for these ultrasounds? I mean, my sister wasn't able to get her insurance to pay for an elective ultrasound when she was pregnant with my niece. Ah, yeah.
It's going to depend on where it's being done, right? Because if it's being done in one of our local hospitals, well, the person's probably going to have to do free care, and the hospital's going to eat the bill.
Yeah.
And the radiologist will eat the bill, and the technician will eat the bill, right? Because that doesn't matter. We don't care as long as it's not your pocket.
Gilletta Jarvis says there should be, at the very least, exceptions for medical need, not just death, and for the circumstances of rape and incest. Well, you know what? I've noticed over the years, too, conservatives have really they used to be willing to make even that much compromise, but now a lot of them don't want to compromise on even rape and incest. That used to be a standard thing.
Yeah.
You know, we want to get rid of all abortions except in the cases of rape and incest. But today, a lot of conservatives are like, nope, even then, who cares? Too bad.
The one thing New Hampshire got right in this garbage of a law is they included demise of the fetus. In other states, laws have passed banning abortions at, say, 24 weeks, 25 weeks, whatever the number is. But if the baby dies, there's no exception in that law to go and you have to wait it out and spontaneously abort, or wait it out till you're at the point where the doctor goes, well, now we have to go do an D&C so you don't get in more serious trouble health-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing that New Hampshire, at least I saw that because I looked for that. It was one of the first things I looked for was like, my God, are they going to force women to carry in full term when they're dead?
Right.
No, there's the good news. But if they're going to die within an hour or so, or even minutes from birth, you're going to have to be forced to carry it to full term.
Yeah.
If you're past that magic 24.
Melanie says no medical reason an abortion cannot happen after 24 weeks. Religion is being inserted into our laws. Complete BS.
As usual, women, you must be subservient. Your body is not your own.
Yeah.
I'm not a human being, Matt. I swear. That's how I feel. I feel like women are just not, we're not human beings. We're not really human beings. We're not really equal to our cis male counterparts.
Yeah. I just, by the way, my own, and maybe if we have time, we'll get to it, but my own views on abortion are not, I mean, I certainly consider myself pro-choice, but it's my thoughts and ideas on it are more nuanced than simply that. But ultimately, I just, I don't get a vote in the matter. That's my view of it. I have man parts, so I don't get to tell anybody what they can do with their parts.
Except as of January 1st, if I somehow became pregnant and decided to have an abortion, you would be entitled to take me to civil court and be awarded monetary damages that I did to you by doing that. That is in the law.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Maddie, you have a little bit. That's the right you gain on January 1st.
Apparently, I do have a say. Wow.
If that's what you want to call it.
Dan Lavasser says Sununu is a joke. He is setting himself up to run for a seat in D.C., doing stuff to appease the GOP. Yes. Well, and again, this is not to let him off the hook or defend him in any way. This is merely a political analysis. But he spent, and this is why I did vote for him. He spent the pandemic being a pro-science governor who is very concerned, and I think overall did a good job on COVID. But the Republican base, who is largely anti-science and are heavily, clearly not all, but largely anti-science and a lot of COVID deniers, they are furious at Sununu. The Republican base is very upset, and I think that plays into why this is happening. The base of the party in this state hates the governor in their own party because
he did the mandate,
because he was pro-science. He did mask mandates.
He
did
increased
shutdowns.
unemployment benefits.
Yep, he did all the right things except for maybe what John Hopwood brings out about the nursing homes.
Right.
So they hate him. They tried to take him down.
This is his innie back in. He
Right.
needs their money.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of money to run for Congress.
That's exactly right.
Or Senate, whichever one he wants to go for. It takes a lot of money.
Yeah,
We're talking millions here, people.
Yeah.
And they're not going to give it to him if he doesn't give them a little something, something. So he sold us up the river. But what I really want to know, and I want the governor to honestly answer this, and I bet you money he would never do it. Did he really fully understand the ultrasound in this bill before he signed? Did he really understand that? Because he's got women in his life he cares about. I can't imagine that he would agree to that if he knew how it's done.
Well, he's a professional politician. I don't want to
believe. I don't want to believe.
I know.
I don't want to believe that anybody.
I know.
Anybody would vote for that, but here we are.
But we know the deal.
Here we are.
Yes.
I feel like, the book that had the most powerful effect on me in my early years was The Handmaid's Tale. For real.
Yeah.
We did that in college my freshman year, and that book scared the death out of me.
Yeah.
And I look at stuff like this, and it's like it's fresh out of that book.
Yeah.
Women doesn't have a right to herself at all. At all. You're nothing.
Yeah. John Hopwood points out, and he said this on the phone too, but in the chat he says Sununu could have vetoed the bill, and they'd have to go back to the drawing board and take it out. Yeah,
that's true.
But like I said,
he could have.
He's trying to redeem himself with the base.
He can't afford to do that, or he'll spend all summer trying to defend himself when he needs to spend all summer raising money.
Yeah.
So he can run for bigger office, because that's more important.
In the Republican Party, the worst thing you can be called is a rhino, Republican in name only.
Yeah.
And that's what they call him for believing in science, for being proactive on COVID-19.
I just wish people would evolve.
So,
I evolved. My opinions on things have evolved over the years. I've paid
Yeah.
attention to science. I've learned a few things.
Yeah.
Some things I didn't know. Some things you don't know everything.
Yeah.
You got to learn stuff.
Yeah.
And as great as medical science is, we can't save everybody. Unfortunately, we haven't figured that out yet. But to force somebody to bring everybody in to the world to just suffer and die, God.
Melanie points out, this is such BS. What if partner is abusive and she was raped by husband? Yeah, exactly. Melanie also says this will just drive women living in poverty to other sources to terminate pregnancy, which will lead to women dying. But that's okay. Her life doesn't matter if she is a whore, right?
Especially if she's poor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't matter. No. Nobody cares if you're going to go to the neighbor for a coat hanger.
Well, that to me, that's one of the that's
because that's what happens.
To me, that's one of the best pro-choice arguments is if you could wave some sort of pro-life magic wand and all of a sudden abortion was illegal, we would go back to a time when forgive me for being graphic, I'm just, but this is what would happen. We would go back to a time when a woman would perforate her uterus with a coat hanger. And no, thank you. I don't want to go. By the way, there is a solution to all of this, but we'll never, and maybe I'll, maybe I'll get to it today. Maybe I won't, but I have my own thoughts, which are pretty unique, apparently, out in the world of how pro-lifers and pro-choices can work together to actually solve abortion. But it'll never happen because neither side will ever give at all. But we'll see if we get to that. Dan says, but after birth, into the gutter the baby can go. Wayne Noel says
nobody cares about you once you're breathing.
Yeah. Wayne says, and this is in regard to Britney Spears and the conservatorship, it's all about control of her money. Oh, absolutely. It's an entirely monetary motivation there. Now, Dirk Don, I do want to address this because this does require some nuance, and I want to clarify my feelings on it. So Dirk from Arrogant Media says, I'm not okay with the old white man comments when it comes to this. Women do this too, and being white has nothing to do with it. See the politicians in my state. Now, what I want to say about that, Dirk, is from my perspective, that's a perfectly valid point, and you're absolutely right. Obviously, There are a lot of, there are many, we know some personally right here in New Hampshire, certainly, many conservative women who are pro-life activists and politicians who vote pro-life and all of that. However, I think what Jenny was referring to about the old white men is there is a pattern of, and it's not just on abortion. There's been some examples recently. Voting rights, where you will often see, or you see it in Congress, by the way, you'll see a panel, like a Senate committee hearing or a panel or in the House, where this is the image that you see. A bunch of old white guys sitting around debating these issues. These issues that
old white guys put in place.
Right. So
our laws were put into place by, unfortunately, that's the reality. So that's how American law started.
So my point is, it's not just old white guys.
Right.
But so often that is what it looks like, and it kind of makes you feel like, well, yeah, but a bunch of old white dudes making decisions for women is kind of not okay. But we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, Matt. Hi, Jenny. This is Ron.
Hey.
I'm listening to your show tonight, and it's such a hot topic. It's not even one that I can comment on. I've been trying to just listen and learn. But the last thing I was thinking, it was like, what did they do in the 50s? I mean, in the 40s and the 50s.
Back alley abortion.
I don't know. Were they having these problems? I mean, women were getting pregnant and women were having abortion, but
a lot of women died. They would do bathtub abortions in the back rooms of places, or some guy that claims to be a doctor and knows how to do it would get some money on the sly and do it. Like, there's a movie that has that in there, and it's actually real. That's actually fact. Back in the day, it was done in secret, and if you were lucky, you made it out alive. If you weren't, you might bleed out from it.
Jesus, now I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the reality. It's been done since probably the beginning of mankind. It's existed.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
All righty. Terrible. So I'll continue to listen. This is the one topic that just like, you're right. No matter what you say, you're right or wrong. All in the same sentence. So it's awful.
Absolutely. All right, Ron. Thank you so much for the call, my friend. Stay cool.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Let's see. Shannon McGuire did share something. I think you had mentioned this earlier from nhpr.org. So they are covering it. Wayne Noel points out, not only in your state, the same process is going on across the board at the federal, state, and local level. Oh, absolutely. The playbook is always the same, but it is happening in many states, not all states. Like I said, it's not going to happen in Massachusetts, for example. But in many states, and it does happen at all levels of government. That is true. Yeah. That is true.
We do happen to live in a real stick in the mud state, though, that doesn't want to actually move with the times and follow science. Because remember, you could pick plenty of issues, and New Hampshire's all by itself. Like cannabis, for example.
Oh, yeah.
We're literally in the middle of a legal pool.
That's true.
All by our little lonesome.
Jared Martineau is in the chat. I met Jared for the first time in person at Juneteenth at the Hop Knot. Jared says, I don't understand the moral failings that enables someone to believe others are their jurisdiction to impose upon. Yeah, absolutely.
They actually define it in the bill, in the law. They define the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. It's actually in the definition. The pregnant woman cannot be isolated in her privacy. She carries an embryo and later a fetus. The situation, therefore, is inherently different. No, it's not. But according to them, it is. And it goes on. And there's more of this kind of language in this. But yeah, they put it into law that, we don't have the right as an individual. We're not an individual. Women, cis women, specifically cis women are not individuals. Everybody else is.
Dirk in the chat says, I don't want my tax money going toward the forced ultrasounds. Forcing a woman to carry a child that is not wanted is also evil. You
can do a lot of damage to somebody. And at what age? I mean, we also live in a state where you can get married under the age of 18. Now, that's okay. If you get married and then you make the baby, well, your old hubby will have all the rule and law.
Melanie says, curious, does she also have to bring the outfit she was wearing when the baby was conceived?
Yeah, right.
I mean, why should she be able to have an abortion if she was clearly asking for it? Yeah. And,
Of course.
And Miriam says, makes me think of the horrible Roman Emperor Caligula. He impregnated his sister, then decided the baby would be more powerful than he was. This did not end well.
Yeah. Killed the kid, didn't he?
Yes.
He was a pretty sick person.
So let me give the numbers again, and then I want to just tell you. I'll try to be brief with my. I have a broader idea about this entire issue, but 603-250-6007 is the number to call. 603-250-6007. You can text us at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And look, I consider myself pro-choice, but I think. But my idea of being pro-choice doesn't necessarily comport with others' ideas about being pro-choice. And here's what I mean. So I have kind of a nuanced view of all this. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of abortion, and I don't think it's a great idea unless there are mitigating circumstances. Now, again, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their body. I don't think it's a great option if you can avoid it, but obviously, but that's not up to me. It's not my choice. But the reason I say that, and I like to clarify that, is so both pro-choicers and pro-lifers approach this issue in some ways that I feel are unhelpful. And again, I say my criticisms of the pro-choice side are meant to be constructive in nature because I am pro-choice. So I want my fellow pro-choicers to understand that when I'm critical of you, pro-choice politicians, pro-choice activists, etc., it's with love. I'm trying to help here because my fellow pro-choicers at times in the past have gotten angry with me and said, well, Matt, you're not really pro-choice, blah, blah, blah. So I just, that's a caveat and just kind of a, what's the other word I'm looking for? A disclaimer. But here's what I think is wrong on both sides. And there's actually a solution to all of this. I just don't think that we'll ever be mature enough as a country, or that humanity will ever be mature enough to arrive at this conclusion that I think is incredibly obvious. So actually, let me start with the pro-choicers. So here's what pro-choicers get wrong, in my opinion. And again, some of my fellow pro-choicers will get angry with me and say, Matt's not pro-choice, he's a liar. But hear me out. Pro-choicers, some of you, or some of us, again, because I'm one of you, some of us need to work on coming off a little bit less cavalier about abortion. And here's what I mean. There are some pro-choice activists who, well, actually, let me put it this way. When pro-lifers talk about pro-choicers as being, well, first of all, a lot of pro-choicers will say, a lot of pro-lifers will say that pro-choicers are pro-abortion. I object to that. I'm pro-choice. Am I pro-abortion? No, I don't really care for abortion unless it's necessary. Not a fan, to be honest with you. But I'm certainly not, but like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. So I'm pro-choice. But when pro-lifers talk about pro-choicers being very cavalier about it and don't seem particularly interested in reducing the number of abortions, pro-lifers, some of them kind of have a point, because I think a lot of my fellow pro-choicers, and again, I say this with love, I'm one of you, but I think a lot of us do kind of come off a little bit like, yeah, the only thing that matters is having access to abortion. And no, who cares about trying to reduce unwanted pregnancy? No. We don't care about that at all. All we want to do is make sure that everyone who wants an abortion can have an abortion. By the way, I think everyone who does want an abortion should have an abortion. But can we not maybe put a little more effort into trying to convince everybody that, see, here's the thing. In the year 2021, you could lower the numbers of unwanted pregnancies in this country so much if you did everything you could to make sure that everyone understands that, hey, if you're going to do this, here are the consequences. Let's make sure you have access to what you need. If you really, really, truly can't get access to what you need, then maybe you ought to wait on engaging in this activity until you can get access to what you need. But here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard got into a lot of trouble in the last presidential. She said during one of the debates in 2020, she said, she was quoting our former president, William Jefferson Clinton, when she said, I want to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. And you know what happened when she said that? The left, pro-choicers in this country, activists, politicians, everybody went nuts. And they were furious with her. Safe, legal, and rare. Well, yeah, safe and legal, but rare? They were furious with her. And then everybody can't figure out why pro-lifers say, oh, look at these pro-choicers. They're not just pro-choice, they're pro-abortion. They love abortion. Because people got angry with Tulsi Gabbard for saying safe, legal, and rare. No, you can't say rare. Yes, we should say rare. That's a great goal. Make it safe, legal, and rare. How do you make it rare? By reducing the numbers of unwanted pregnancies. That's how you do it. So stop coming off like, I'm just saying some of the pro-lifers kind of have a point in terms of their perception of us. And again, I say us because I'm with you. And I know there's people in their car listening to me right now saying, wait a minute, I thought Matt was pro-choice. He's clearly not. No, I am. But come on, guys, we need to tweak the message a little bit here. We need to tweak the message. And you know how you solve this ultimately? Pro-lifers and pro-choicers all need to work together and say, we have the same goal here. Let's make a common goal to reduce the numbers of unwanted pregnancies in this country as low as we possibly can. Because if we can work together to accomplish that goal, then this whole problem begins to solve itself.
You're going to get the Bible thumpers to talk about sexual intercourse?
No, and that's why, because what the pro-lifers get wrong is they run around, not all of them, but a lot of them, they run around acting like, well, if you use birth control, that's the same thing as having an abortion. And it's like, oh my God. So no.
Abstinence is the only God-fearing way.
So no, we're never going to get there. My solution will never work because we don't have the maturity to do it in this country, but that is the solution. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's John Hopwood.
Hey, John.
Calling in to chastise you.
Of course.
I'd just like to.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst pro-choicer ever. I realize that, by the way.
I believe in abortion on demand, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But
I don't like abortion as a form of birth control.
Oh no.
But,
nobody likes that.
I would just like to, before I chastise Matt.
Yes.
To point out that about 2,300 years ago, or was it 2,500 years ago, that to the Greeks, masturbation was, very taboo because, they believed that a man had most of the chore of conception was mostly the man's, and that spreading your seed on infertile ground, so to speak, was a crime. I guess it'd be equivalent to abortion. How times change.
Well, there are very strict groups that do believe that a man should never spill his seed.
That's right.
I believe that too, indubitably. even at a creationist museum, particularly. But we won't get into that. Go down Matt's cul-de-sac.
Yes.
But Matt does mentioning Tulsi Gabbard. She's anti-abortion. She introduced that fetal pain ban on abortion.
Did she?
Bill. So
I didn't know.
Yes, and she had a background when she was younger
But
I
has she
believe
changed,
being
though?
anti-abortion. So that's part of the backlash. Because let's face it, here's a politician, and she lied twice to me. So you've been chastised.
I have a picture though on my phone of me with Tulsi, but anyway, as she came and sat with us at the when we did the coverage of the primary, first in the nation primary here in New Hampshire. I know you're all very jealous of us, those of you in other parts of the country, but anyway.
I was just looking. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
So just to kind of finish on what I was saying before John called. So yes, if we could get if pro-choicers could be a little bit more pro, let's make sure. Don't get me wrong. There are many pro-choice activists who talk about access to birth control. So I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying if the pro-choicers could get a little bit more activated on that point, and if the pro-lifers could finally say, okay, maybe using birth control isn't just as bad as killing a baby. Yes, we're pro-birth control too, which is a big leap for a lot of pro-lifers. I understand. They're very, into this idea that many of them, not all of them, of course, but many of them into this idea that, you have to be married and you have to have lots of kids.
Teaching birth control is leading to promiscuity of the youth.
Well, that is what they teach.
It's for the youths.
By the way, I shouldn't be. So while I'm skeptical that we'll ever actually get there, because it does require a little bit of both sides working together for a common good that would accomplish something great, there is progress. So maybe I shouldn't be quite so pessimistic, because if you look at the statistics year over year, decade over decade, the rate of abortion in this country actually has been on a steady decline. The rate of unwanted pregnancy in this country has been on a steady decline. The rate of pregnancy among teens has been on a steady decline.
They're educated better than we were.
Yes.
They're much better educated.
Right. So there actually is progress. But the way, if you really want to reduce abortion, the way to do it is not to outlaw it, because then you just send it into the back alleys and the bathtubs, like you pointed out. The way to do it is to increase access to birth control and education. Oh, by the way, another statistic, people probably don't realize this, but young people are actually, people talk about, it's such a promiscuous society today. Actually, there's data that shows young people are waiting longer to have sex. They're losing their virginities at a later age. They're actually waiting longer, which is probably part of what contributes to the lower numbers of teen pregnancy.
People about educate. Gee, yeah, you can get infections in those pots.
Yeah.
Kids go, wait a minute. Give them truth. Give them science. Look what happens.
Oh, and I don't know if this is still true now, but I know that when Rick Perry was governor of Texas, and maybe Dirk can comment on this because he's from Texas. When Rick Perry was governor of Texas, Texas had a very strict abstinence-only policy in terms of teaching how they approach sex ed in schools. Well, abstinence only. At the same time, they also had the highest rate of teen pregnancy in the entire country. Because, and it's not just in Texas, they have found this in other states too, but Texas is the most glaring example of it. When you have abstinence-only education in schools, you have higher rates of teen pregnancy. Why? Because teaching abstinence only does not work. And I know that some people think, well, if you don't teach abstinence only, then these, oh my God, you know what I just remembered? You remember Janine, Janine Nodder.
Yeah.
So years ago, when I was on that show, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, when I was Gary's co-host on that show, it was one of the very first episodes of that show. It's on YouTube for anyone who wants to seek it out. But Janine Nodder was on the show, and it's the only time I met her, and she seems like a very nice woman. But she actually said, she actually said, she was talking about abstinence only. And she actually said, the mistake is talking about sex ed in schools, because if you don't talk about it, teenagers won't be thinking about it. Out of sight, out of mind. She actually said that, and she wasn't kidding. The only reason teenagers...
That is so ignorant.
The only reason teenagers think about sex is because of people talking about it. So
told them to.
just don't talk about it in school, and they won't be thinking about it. And I looked at her, and she had a good sense of humor, because I did look at her and I said, on what planet do you reside? I mean, it was such a bizarre, and she laughed. She had a good sense of humor about it, but what a bafflingly bizarre thing to say. My jaw was on the floor. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, Matt. It's Karen. How are you?
Good, Karen. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, sweetie.
I just have to say what you were just saying. I've heard people say that. If you don't talk about sex, kids won't do it.
It's wild, isn't it?
I know. I've actually heard that.
Yeah.
But I'm just calling in because what you were saying about abortion as being rare, which I agree with, and I am pro-choice, but I just have a question, and I don't know how else you would say it, because as far as saying, if you don't talk about sex, kids won't do it, I've also heard people say that people use abortion as birth control. They go out, they have sex, they're promiscuous, and they get pregnant, they just have an abortion to take care of everything. I guess the problem, I think that sometimes it sounds like the unwanted pregnancy, and I think that's where people look at it as, well, they're just having sex, they get pregnant, they don't want it, they get rid of it. I don't know if there's another way of, framing that so it doesn't sound that way.
Yeah. Well, I think Karen, what you've brought up is, and I'm glad you brought this up, pro-lifers use that as a talking point. They'll say, well, you got all these women running around, they get pregnant, and then they go get an abortion, and then they just get pregnant again, they get another abortion. I think that, I don't know if there's statistics on this.
Do that.
There are women who, I'm sure there are women who do that.
I used to be related to one.
But here's the thing, though. It's very important not to fall into this trap of, yes, I'm sure there are women who do that, but I have to believe that those numbers are infinitesimally low, because that sounds like a horribly inconvenient thing for someone to put herself through.
But we have people making these laws and doing these things who grew up in an era when they didn't have, they were lucky if they had Encyclopedia Britannica at home, hard cooked books. They didn't have access to the information that kids of today do. I would argue to say that the teenagers of today are smarter and better educated than we were as kids. Yeah. I can tell you, without going into too much detail, I had a health class one year, and I never forgot this. I sat there, and my jaw dropped, and I lost my mind when the teacher stood up there and made a comment about what boys will say, and that had been said to me.
Yeah.
But when the teacher said it, I was like, oh, my God, really?
But yeah, Karen, to answer your question, I think it's probably very rare, but it's important not to fall into that conservative talking point.
Yeah, I do too, and like I said, I think it's because of the word unwanted, and I don't know what other word could be used, but I think that's what really they pick up on, and that's what they equate it to, is like, they just didn't want it, and to them it's like there's no other reason except they just don't want it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
There can be a lot of other reasons for an abortion than just not wanting.
Right. Medical reasons.
Financial
largely.
reasons.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree.
And I do have to just say one thing.
Yes.
As much as I love your show, there's two things I have to say. Just to go back of what's been going on. Somebody saying that Jenny speaks for you and doesn't speak for herself. If they've ever listened to your show, especially today, and ever think Jenny doesn't have her own opinions, they're crazy.
Well
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Well said, Karen.
Thank you for recognizing the human in me.
Yes.
And the other is, I know when the governor was running in the pandemic, I had said he had done a good job, and I was actually thinking of voting for him.
Yes.
But I do have to say that it's because of speaking with people that would tell me things other than what a great job he's done during the pandemic made me change my mind, and I'm really glad I did.
I can understand that. I'm not, especially in hindsight, I'm not, well, I don't know.
I'm regretting it at the moment.
I don't necessarily.
I'm absolutely regretting my vote.
Dan Feltus didn't really, to me, I just didn't see a lot.
I know.
Nice guy. Really
But-
nice guy, but I don't know.
He wouldn't have voted to legalize rape.
I'm not quite at the regret stage, because I do think Sununu did a good job on COVID overall. But I understand what you're saying, Karen. I do.
Okay. Well, you guys had a great show today. Have a great evening.
All right, Karen, thank you so much for the call, my friend. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
On her note, I want to add one important point.
Yes.
In the bill, when anytime a bill has law, there's a whole big section behind, usually in front of it, that's all about the definitions and what it means and legislative intent. So a court knows, well, what the legislatures were thinking. In this section of the law that the governor just signed into law, he also signed a section where the legislature determined then life begins at conception.
Oh, yeah.
That's in here.
Yeah. Well,
that's in here. That's literally, we adopt the opinion that the fetus from the time of conception becomes a separate organism and remains so throughout its life. They've put that in there to cement the legislative intent. This is a placeholder for future too.
Well,
Don't think this is the end of it.
The problem too is if you try to explain it to them, they either don't get it or they do the equivalent of sticking their fingers in their ears and they won't listen. Is that if life begins at conception, if you actually accept that premise, then that means that the pill, which is the most popular, most common, and very successful, if taken on schedule, form of birth control in the history of the world, the pill. If you believe that life begins at conception, then every time you take the pill,
Yes.
you're committing an abortion.
That's the argument. Yep.
And that's the problem with that.
You wear a condom, you're spilling your seed.
I
That's
think,
also
yeah.
not okay with God's law.
I mean, if you want to talk about when life begins, a stronger argument than conception would be that life begins at implantation. But I don't know even about that. I have a coffee mug at home that actually says on it, life begins at 40. So I don't know what to believe, but I don't go for the life begins at conception. That's nonsense.
So by putting all of
view.
this stuff into this law, they're really putting a stranglehold on what government is going to do in the exam rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What
absolutely.
cis women will be put through that no other human can be put through. So cis women are less human is the end result. In my view, in my personal view, at the end of the day, after all of this, cis women have less human rights than anybody else in the state of New Hampshire.
Stefan Philbrook in the chat room says the pro-life people are really only pro-birth. Solution is simple: your body, your choice. The biggest abortionist is the Lord, in fact, because miscarriages.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
well, that's true.
And once the baby's born, well, we don't care then.
Right.
Catholics had that little thingy, the spinner. They could put the baby in the spinner and send it to the sisters. Remember that? I've seen that in videos and movies. That's real, right? Catholics all have spinners, right?
Dirk Don says, I love the IUD. And Melanie says, you obviously have not had one inserted in you.
They actually had to take me to the OR for that.
By the way,
Just saying.
just a
It's not that easy.
we hadn't planned on bringing him up, but just a note in the chat room, and it is almost the end of the show. Dylan Reynolds says that he confirms Crazy Joe is on another 30-day ban, so that explains the lack of new content from Crazy Joe.
Couldn't happen to a nicer putz.
That's right. That's right.
You notice I was wearing my Star of Davis today in honor.
Oh yes.
There actually there's history behind it.
Absolutely.
I have my great grandparents on. It's amazing.
John
I'm being very Jewy today. I'm proud of it. How do you like that?
John Hopwood shared something in the chat regarding Tulsi Gabbard, which I'm not going to discuss, but that's funny. Let's see. I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody in here. Dirk Don says, my parents didn't allow me to go to sex ed when I was in school, but they didn't ever teach me anything regarding sex. I learned about it from porn. My sex life turned out surprisingly well. This isn't an anecdote that you don't have to educate kids, but I'm glad I had the resources I did, even if it got me in trouble. Very good.
I know a young one years ago who came home after a health class where they talked about sex ed, but they talked about the realities of sex ed and how you can get infections and things like that. They came home and went, I don't ever want to have sex, or I'm not going to have sex anytime soon.
Right.
It put a little fear into them, but not in a bad way, in a reality way. This is reality. You can get these diseases, and that's what it looks like.
That's right. That's what needs to be.
Truth.
That's what needs to be taught. Here are the potential consequences. Here's how you avoid them.
I don't mean to scare all the kids, but tell them the good and the bad. Tell them reality, real reality, real science, and use real words.
By the way, Mike Pelopita from Queen City Cabinetry points out, once the robots take over, that will all change. That is true, by the way, because we live in this era of automation. And once the robots take over, abortion won't be an issue anymore. And this will all have been for naught.
Maybe they'll just do everything in like a tube, and then they'll have like a gestational machine so they can just get rid of us altogether. They won't need us.
That's right.
Someday we may all just be robots and clones.
Yes. Well, we're about out of time, so we'll begin to wrap up some Facebook chat comments I'm not going to read, but they're fun. So thank you all.
Oh, my.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our wonderful...
Thank you for letting me take over today.
Yes. And thank you to all of our wonderful callers and, of course, everybody in the Facebook live chat. If you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org. And, of course, you can also go to mattconnarton.com for the archive. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Mike Sutterth will be here in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow for his Tweakonomics segment. Gracie Gatto will be here on Friday. I don't have... confirmation from this chat room's awesome. We have a great chat room. I don't have confirmation yet about Thursday EZG. By the way, and don't forget, tomorrow morning, Radio History, Joel the Moose Elber will be here to co-host the morning show with Peter White together again, even if only for a day. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a regular thing. I don't know.
Tune in for your morning drive, huh?
Yes.
I can't wait.
Tomorrow morning from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on WMNH with a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before this show. And that's it for us for now. We got to get out of here. Everybody stay cool. This heat is not letting up. And I'll catch y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.